Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and I am so delighted to bring you for the next 2 weeks a program with Dr. Bobby Jane. He is not only an associate professor at the Texas Tech University Health Science Center, but he's also the regional chair of the Department of Psychiatry. And he has a 5-day practice. He practices 1 day a week at Odessa at the Texas Tech Health Science Center, and then 4 days a week in Midland. And the phone number that you can reach him at is going to be rolling across the screen during our program. But Dr. Jane has all of the up-to-date information that we need to know about adult and child areas of psychiatry in particular. And but before we start talking about that, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about you and how you came to this position, and also about your family and what your goals and visions are.
Well, first of all, thank you, Johnny, and thank you, this channel, for inviting me and allowing Texas Tech to come and represent Texas Tech. And I'm from the Department of Psychiatry. So, where should I start? Well, I was interested in psychiatry pretty early during my medical school years. I must confess that I do have my strong family history of emotional and other psychiatric problems, and seeing family members go through that kind of condition, definitely got me interested in this field. And fortunately, both my older brother, who's 8 years older than me, he's also a psychiatrist, also a child psychiatrist, and he was a good inspiration for me to follow that line, seeing his lifestyle, his quality of work, and how satisfied he was with his kind of work. So I did my medical school training in Calcutta, which is in India, and came to United States little over 10 years ago. Did a master's program in public health. I wanted to know how the healthcare system works in this great nation of ours. I call the United States as my second home, since I'm naturalized here. And since after that, I did my early adult psychiatry training at UTMB Galveston, and then went on to do my child fellowship training. For child psychiatry, to be a child psychiatrist, you need to have adult training. Adult means seeing adult patients, and then you qualify for a fellowship. I did that fellowship. It's a 2-year fellowship that you do. I did it at Baylor in Houston. After that, I did another 2-year research fellowship, because I was interested in research, finding out in areas of depression what are new things that we can do in depression and anxiety. That I did for another 2 years at Southwestern in Dallas, UT Southwestern. After that, in 2006, I was hired a faculty at UT San Antonio, Department of Psychiatry, where I was an assistant professor teaching and seeing patients, teaching to medical students, teaching to residents, and seeing patients, primarily depression and anxiety-related conditions. And until finally, Dr. Jennings, our current regional dean at Texas Tech, Permian Basin, hired me to lead the Department of Psychiatry here, which I joined last year in 2009. And it's been over a year since I've been in this Permian Basin, and I can assure you this was a very good decision on my part to come over here, as I've been trying to see patients, trying to develop a department, and also to make some endeavors into some research programs over here.
Well, one of the things that I want us to do today is to talk more about what psychiatry is all about, the areas, and then to look at some of the symptoms of some of the disease, maladies that you take care of. And but one of the things before we get into that is, you know, I don't think a lot of people really understand what a jewel we have in the Texas Tech University Health Science Center. This is a network that we are very fortunate to have all over Texas, with the Texas Tech, the University of Texas Health Science Center, and all of these that really go out and make top of the line, cutting edge medicine available to all people. And a lot of people have said to me, I didn't know you could go and see a doctor at Texas Tech Health Science Center. I didn't know that was for anything except students learning to be doctors, or learning to be nurses, or learning to be physical therapists, or pharmacists. And so one of the things that I hope people get out of this program is that you have a full-fledged medical team caring for patients.
Right, absolutely. Well, let me start with one which, the very important thing you brought up. Many of my patients, when they first come and they say and ask me a question, are you a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
Good.
And what's the difference between the two? Well, let me start with a small joke. We don't have horns on our head, because when people come to see a psychiatrist for the first time, they have a very different opinion of how a psychiatrist looks like. So let me start with that. And in common lingo, we are called shrinks. So I take that as a compliment, but we don't shrink anything. In psychiatry, let me talk about psychiatry, which I am a psychiatrist, and I'll talk about psychology. Psychiatrists are medical doctors. They go through full medical school training. They go do additional training in residency in adult psychiatry, and depending on their interest, they can go into various subspecialties. So it takes 4 years of medical school and then 4 years of adult psychiatry training. And then depending on what kind of fellowship they have, it may be 2 years of fellowship, which I did in child psychiatry. The psychiatrists are also specialized in forensic psychiatry. They can also specialize in what we call psychosomatic psychiatry, where they deal with a lot of medical issues and psychiatric conditions. And usually this kind of training brings them to be eligible, and we have a board that directs and controls psychiatric practice.
We're going to have to stop right there. We've just barely touched what we need to know about this. We'll be right back after the break. Join us then.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.